Erika's POV. Where are you, Jace? Why are you calling with an unknown number? Are you safe? The questions flew out of my lips in quick succession, nerves knotted tight and painful. I had no idea where my brother was. He might be in danger. Who knew? Oh, Mother of the Moon, please protect Jace and bring him safely back to me. I could not afford to lose him. Not now, not ever. I was ready to apologize and make amends. He was my brother. I don't know. His breath was labored and he sounded like he was in pain. The phone was on loudspeaker. I threw it on the bed and rushed to get my car keys while talking into the phone. I'm coming to get you. Tell me where you are. Okay, thank you. But first, arrest Melissa. He was panting. Was he running? Limping? Oh, goodness. Jace was in danger. Fear overwhelmed me. I could not concentrate on the name he just mentioned. My brain did not capture it properly at first, but then again, he was my priority at this point. Getting to him was my priority. Where are you, Jace? I screamed in panic. Kat was sick with worry. She looked like she might keel over any moment. Paula held her comfortingly. I don't know where I am. He was definitely running, but it was as though he had a limp. Was he injured? On the device's location, I'll use it to locate you. I told him. I can't. He paused. I can't. They'll get me. I managed to escape. Someone should hold me, else I might lose consciousness. Who are they, Jace? Please tell me where you are. Tears ran down my eyes. There's a lot of trees. Forest. A deep one. I took a shortcut to prevent being seen, but I was ambushed. He was losing strength. He was exhausted and extremely weak. I wiped my tears. Now was not the time for tears. I needed to find a way to help my brother. He was obviously in danger. I should comport myself. I inhaled and exhaled deeply. Do you remember the route you took? I asked. Yes, it was the South River Road. I took the shortcut there, he replied. I knew there. Okay, I'm coming. You're around that place, right? I was already slipping my feet into my black slip-ons. Kat and Paula were following closely behind. I forgot my key and rushed. Soon, I heard voices in the background. I have to go. They are searching for me. He ended the call. Without wasting time, I sprinted down the hallway. I bumped into 2 guards. Out of the way. I growled. They immediately stepped aside. Not stopping, I ran to my vehicle. Kat and Paula climbed in. I zoomed off to search for my brother. Nothing much happened to him. I would never forgive myself if anything did. Dad had always made us promise to take care of each other. He had done his best by me. It was my turn. I must not fail him or Dad. I would never forgive myself if anything happened to Jace. He was the only family I had left. Dad might never wake up, and if Jace... I shook my head vigorously. No, nothing would happen to him. That thought was forbidden in my head. He would come to me alive. I would find him breathing. He might be wounded. I would take care of him. I just wanted him to be alive. Stop shaking, do bad, Rika. We will find him, but if you keep up with this level of fear and nerves, we might get into an accident. That would not help anyone. It's late already. Be careful. Paula was beside me, while Kat sat motionless and quiet in the back. I'm trying, Paula. I'm fucking trying. It's all my fault. I punched the steering wheel as a sob erupted from my throat. My hands were shaking. I was driving recklessly. Stop the car, Rika. Damn it. Stop the car. Paula was yelling. But I did not. Don't worry, I'll drive safely now. I tried to do as she had said. The phone rang. My blood pressure spiked. Oh, goodness. It was the same number. Jace needed me. What was I doing? I was scared to pick, and at the same time, I was curious to know if he was okay. The call ended, but I did not hesitate to pick it when it rang for the second time. Fearfully, I put the phone to my ear. Jace, where are you? They are gaining grounds, closing the distance. Please come fast. If they get me, I'm dead. That's their plan, to kill me. Please, don't let them kill me. I have never heard Jace sound this desperate. The fear in his voice was heavy. I'm coming, please. I'm on my way. I'm doing my best. Please, just make sure you're safe. Find a place and hide, or come out of that South River Road. Just please stay safe, please. I beg you, Jay. The call had ended. I did not care if I was going to die. That was my brother begging me to come save him. I would not have a peaceful reign if he was caught again. He had done his best to escape the first time. I just needed to go find him. I could not control the trembling of my hands, but that was not my fault. I would get there, no matter what. Fueled by fear and nerves, I sped through the night. I was out of my pack. I ventured towards the major road. I knew South River. Just a few more minutes. Be careful, Rika. Stop trying to kill us. Paula was yelling, but I ignored her. She would not understand. It was not her brother in danger, so she would not understand at all. I was close to the South River. As I got closer, fear clenched tighter. My hands trembled more. When I got to the South River, I jumped down from the vehicle and ran into the bush. Paula, take over. Keep driving. Let me look for him on foot. I did not want to miss him. I had no idea where I was running to, but I just wanted to find Jace. Everywhere was dark, but I hoped to see him. Paula had taken another route to find him too. Deep into the forest, I was still sobbing, praying and hoping Jace was still safe, and that whoever was chasing him had not caught up to him. At a point, I stood, breathless and feeling lost. Where are you, Jace? I whispered in frustration and fear. A hand came around my back and pulled me out of there. Panic set my heart racing. Erika's POV. I was about to scream, but the hand clamped my mouth, then swerved me around to stare at their face. Jace. I immediately hugged him, tears falling from my eyes. My brother was alive. I'm sorry. I broke into sobs. Shh, they'll hear you. It's okay, he whispered in my ears. I sniffled. Okay. We would talk more at home. Then I remembered Paula and Kat. We should go find Paula and Kat. I held his wrist. We need to be careful. They are here somewhere, he told me. Carefully and cautiously, we darted around the bush, trying to locate Paula and avoid the people that were after him. I wondered where they were. They had the car and we needed the car. Soon, I heard the honk of a vehicle. It was them. They were driving really fast. Together with Jace, we ran after the vehicle. I noticed Jace was limping. Get inside, now. They're behind us, Paula screamed as Kat opened the door of the back seat. I pulled Jace so he could go in first. He screamed all of a sudden. I looked in horror as a small knife had pierced his side. I had also heard a gunshot. I heard noises. Without risking a glance back, I pushed him into the vehicle and climbed in after him. Paula zoomed off immediately, driving like a maniac. I paused to catch my breath. Jace. Kat was all over him. His blood had stained her body. But she did not care. I even saw tears fall from her eyes. He was bleeding badly. Kat pulled off her shirt while I removed the knife from his down torso. That brought a pain-filled groan out of him. Kat instantly pressed down on the wound with her cloth. His breath was raspy and labored. There was also a hole near the cut. The bullet was in him too. Every part of me trembled in fear. Please be fine, Jace, I pleaded. Please don't die on me. Kat's shirt was soaked in no time. Oh my goodness. Mother of the Moon, please help my brother. Don't let him bleed to death. He was losing so much blood. How long before we get to the pack, Paula? In 30 minutes or so, she replied, her eyes focused on the road. She was going fast, but not fast enough for me. 30 minutes? Step on it, Paula. My brother is losing too much blood. I yelled. I'm trying. She increased her speed. Jace, stay with me. Kat was holding his hand tightly. That knife could have touched a vital organ, hence the bleeding. And if that was the case, then this was an emergency. I did not want him to bleed to death. I wanted him alive. I took hold of his other hand as the blood-soaked shirt was still on the wound. The bleeding was not ready to stop. It was still flowing, and that scared me more than anything. Why was he bleeding this much? Paula, go faster, please. My voice was broken and filled with panic. I had no idea how long before we got there, but I hoped it was not too late by then. I hoped that by the time this car got to the pack, my brother was not too late. I waited as the car kept moving at a fast pace, but it felt as though it was a snail pace. My mind went back to the last discussion we had, my brother and I. We had quarreled, gotten into a big fight that had made him leave home. I had accused him of working with Elder Grigshade against him. I had done that without understanding the whole story. He had left just so I could believe him. He had left because he did not want me to suspect he wanted anything from me, not even the title. He had made it clear 1,000 times that he was not interested in rulership. He just wanted to be successful and live a simple life. Despite the many times he had said this to me, I had still accused him. I had all but rubbed it in his face how much I was suspecting him. I was wrong. I had done something unfair to him. And he still had the right, if he did not want to talk to me ever again. I should have known there was trouble the moment he had not picked all 3 of our calls. But I had been annoyed instead. Thinking he was intentionally not picking them, I had called almost 4 times. Kat and Paula had tried reaching him too. His phone was available then, but he had left our calls unanswered. Who knew how much danger he had been then? And if it was probably because of this danger, that was why he had not been picking his call. I turned to look at him. Kat was still using the shirt to press down on the wound. How many minutes more, Paula? It was Kat's turn to yell her frustration, fear, and panic. I held on to my brother's hand as though it was my semblance of reassurance that all was going to be fine. All was fine, I sternly told myself. All had to be fine. Nothing was going to be wrong with Jace. I wiped tears from my eyes, squeezing his hand tight. We'll soon be there. Paula took a fast swerve. People ran out of the road, dispersing into scattered directions. Sorry, she yelled through the window. Jace coughed and spluttered droplets of blood. I cleaned his lips with my hand. You'll be fine, Jace. I promise you. Tears welled, falling on his stained shirt. I got lost in thought again, wondering what would have happened if Jace had been unable to reach us. How he would have escaped that place with one of his legs injured. I cut off the thought. I could not bear what the answer would be. He had reached us, and we had been able to get to him. In the end, he was going to be fine. We were this close to getting him treatment. Jace, Jace. I heard the panic in Kat's voice. He had his head on her laps. I turned to look at his face. His eyes were closed. Even in the dimly lit car, I could make out his features. I shook him. Jace? What's happening there? Paula was scared as well. Jace! Kat screamed. No, no, no. I checked his pulse. I froze. I could not feel any pulse. I'm not feeling any pulse. I stuttered. Jace, wake up. Wake the fuck up. Kat wailed. I was feeling so many emotions, yet I was numb. They were indescribable, these emotions. Jace, don't you dare do this. Don't you dare die on me. Please, no. Say something. Make a sound, anything. Jace, please. But he remained still and soaked in his own pool. Erika's POV. Paula had gotten to the pack. She drove faster than before. Soon, we had reached our mansion. The gates opened. I flew open the door, not even waiting for her to stop the vehicle. I ran towards the Pack's hospital. Kat was behind me. We entered, and Kat yelled, "Somebody bring a stretcher." "Now," I added for effect. I ran back to the car. "Paula, help me." I wanted to carry his body. I wanted to waste no more time. Before we could bring him out, 2 male nurses had brought out the stretcher and helped you gently place him on it. He was not dead. I would not believe that. Jace was fine, but when I remembered I had not gotten any pulse, I panicked and my heart went into haywire. He would be fine. I followed the stretcher. "What's wrong with him, Alpha?" "He has a knife wound." And there's a B bullet in him too," I managed to reply amidst choking sobs. My dress was now red, Jace's blood. I did not mind staining every damn cloth I had if only Jace would be fine. Kat was following the stretcher too. Tears flowed freely. She was wearing only bra and the shorts. She was also stained with blood. Will he be fine? We were getting to the surgery room. I reluctantly let go of the stretcher. Jace looked as though he was sleeping. I sobbed harder. He was so young, too innocent. He should not be going through all of this. He knew nothing. He just wanted to be a successful businessman who lived a normal life. "We'll try out best, my lady." And without any more word, he was wheeled into the surgery room. The door closed behind him. "You make sure to save his life. Save his life or I'll throw you in cell," I yelled, not caring I was gathering attention. Paula pulled Kat and I into a comforting hug. We sobbed on her shoulder. "Jace is strong. He'll survive this." I did not feel any pulse, Paula. None at all. What if we're too late? What if he's lost too much blood? What if his body can no longer withstand the stress and pain it had been put under? So many probabilities swirling in my head, I was not hoping for these, but I was scared. "Shh. Let's not think the worst. He will be fine. Let's believe this. Let's hold on to this. This is the only hope we have to believe," she soothed. She led Kat and I to one of these hospital chairs and made us sit. She joined us, taking a seat between us. She held both our hands and squeezed tight. I had no idea how long I sat there, but as I waited there with my friends, my body was tensed. I willed myself not to tremble. My only prayer right now is aimed at Jace. I wanted him to survive this. The door of the surgery section swung open sometime later. The doctor that usually attended to our family's emergency walked out and towards us. I was instantly on my feet. Kat and Paula. The man was shocked at seeing the state of I and Kat's body and dress. I did not care. Anyone could look. If my brother survived at the end of it, then it would be all worth it. I knew my dress was ruined at the end of the day. There was no way to wash out the blood. It was dried already. "Doctor, how's Jace?" I asked him as soon as he reached us. "Can I see you privately for a moment, Alpha?" he inquired, his gaze on me. "What do you mean, doctor? You can talk us too. I just want to know how Jace is," Kat interjected. Her voice trembled as she stepped forward to face the doctor, as though she was ready to go head-to-head with him. "I'm sorry, my lady, but I just need to see the Alpha briefly." "May we?" His face revealed no expression nor emotions. My heart was beating fast. What was happening? Was something wrong with my brother? Had he not survived it? A lot of questions worried my mind, and I was apprehensive by the many things that could go wrong. "Is he okay, doctor?" I asked, looking from him to my friends, then back to him. "It's quite imperative I see you, Alpha. I'll tell you everything you want to know, but I also have some questions to ask," he told me. Okay. All right, Alpha. My office is this way." He led the way. I turned to look at my girls. Kat was furious and scared while Paula was looking lost and confused too. I focused on following the doctor. He led me through the corridors of the hospital. People kept looking at me strangely but bowed when I walked past them. The blood was too much, and whenever I remembered that it was Jace's blood, I be wrapped up tighter in fear. He had lost too much blood. Even Kat's body had been stained with it. We got to his office. He opened the door for me. I walked in and waited for him to begin. "Please have a seat, Alpha." He offered me a chair. I gingerly took a seat. "What's wrong, Alpha? Is my brother alive?" I could not wait any longer. He took his own seat. I'd to ask some questions, Alpha, before anything else. Nerves were knotting tighter, but I nodded. "Okay, we found 2 bullets in his body. One on his left thigh, the second on his stomach." "There was a second?" I was wide-eyed with shock. I had no idea. Was that why he was limping? But he had said anything to me. "Yes, you had no idea?" he asked, raising a surprised brow. "Yes," I nodded. "That was part of the wound that caused the major blood loss. What led to this particular injury?" He stared into my face. "He ran into some bad people." Erika's POV. Some bad people? The doctor's brows furrowed deeper. "Yes, doctor. Is my brother alive? Did he survive?" That was more important than any other question the doctor was asking. "Yes, he's alive, but we almost lost him due to the extent of the injury and the outrageous amount of blood he lost. This regular happenings in your home, Alpha. Have you thought to find out who's behind all of this? I mean, first it was your father, then you and your friends, now your brother. Who's after your family, Alpha?" He seemed genuinely curious. I sighed, staring at him. I was trying my best, but I was just one person. Moreover, I had no clue to who this person might be. If I did, I would have tracked them down and dealt with them. I was suspecting Elder Grigshade, but for some reason, I felt he was not evil. He might possess his bad sides, but I was almost certain those bad sides did not include coming after my family or knowing who did. Though I remembered a statement he had made concerning my rule as Alpha, he had said he did not want me to end up like my father. Did this mean that he knew something? I would like to understand what this was all about. "I'm sorry, Alpha, if you think I am overstepping my bounds. Just that as your family doctor and friend, I am just expressing." "It's okay, doctor. I understand your concern and care, and honestly, I appreciate it. I have no idea who these people were yet, but with my coronation event, I had been really busy. Now that is out of the way, I would do my best to make sure I did not relent in finding who's behind this." I told him, "You said my brother's alive?" I wanted to be sure I had heard him right the first time. "Yes, he's alive, but we had to put him on morphine to keep him sedated so his body can heal faster," he informed me. I nodded, relief flooding me. "I understand, doctor. Thank you so much." "You're welcome. Please endeavor to always stay safe, and for now, go with security at all times, Alpha," he advised. "Yes, I will. Thank you. When can we see him?" I was already standing up from the chair. I could not wait to go tell Kat and Paula, especially Kat, this news. The night had been tough, but it ended well. Jace was alive. He was receiving treatment, but he was alive. He had survived 2 bullet wounds and a knife wound. He was a fighter. I was so relieved. The fear was gone. Now, I just needed to increase the search for whoever that was behind this. We walked out of his office together. When we got to a particular room, he stopped. "I'd like to check on a patient in the room. Have a good night, Alpha." He bowed. "You too, Alpha. Thank you once again." I left him and walked ahead to go meet Kat and Paula. They both became alert immediately. They saw me. I knew they were gauging my face, trying to get the truth from my expression. I would not keep them in suspense that much. "What did he say? Is he alive?" Kat went out Paula's comforting hold to come grab my hand. Tears welled my eyes at the thought of almost losing him. The doctor had said they almost lost him. A small sob broke out at just realizing I had almost lost my brother. Kat and Paula started sobbing too, clearly mistaking my tears to be one of sadness and bad news. He's alive. Jace is alive. I struggled to stop the tears from flowing. Oh, Mother of the Moon, thank you. Kat hugged me tight, but she did not stop crying. She had turned the tears of sadness to one of gratitude and happiness. I saw Paula wipe her eyes too. This is the best news so far. Oh, I'm so happy. Jace is alive. Paula joined our hug, and we remained like that for a few minutes, ignoring the stares of passers-by and even the ones who were greeting and bowing to me. We held hands and left the hospital together. We left my phone in the car. Let me get it, Kat said, and walked to where the car was and took her phone. We walked into the house. The guards there looked shocked seeing us that way. Who would not be stunned speechless, seeing how we look? The night was upon us already. Can I please have your phone, Kat? She gave it to me. Is anything the problem? Paula asked, watching to see if there was something about the phone that interested me. I need to check that number and know who it belongs to. I have a feeling the phone belongs to one of the people or the person that had been chasing him. I told them. I saw two guys, Paula and I. We spotted them first before they spotted us. They were looking for something or maybe someone. Kat put in. Jace. It was obvious they were looking for Jace, and if I am to guess, I think he was kidnapped. Paula pointed out. That was my thought too. But he had left without the notice of anyone, and if he took that shortcut, how come they had known where he would be? I aired my confusion. Maybe he had been spotted by someone from this pack, and this person had alerted these people. Kat reasoned. But how did this person know he would take a shortcut? He had done it to maintain a certain degree of keeping his presence less known, since the Blackwood family is known in the whole of Fangoria. Paula looked at Kat and I as though one of us would answer her question. What if this person had followed him, and then placed a call when they saw him take that route? Kat guessed. You might not be far from the truth, but we have to be sure. This number's location is not on. Jace had said that. I told them. If the location was not on, it was going to be difficult trying to track whoever this person is, unless they would ever switch it on again. That was the only hope. But then again, who was this person who had alerted these people of Jace's traveling? When I raised my eyes to see the person standing at my door, it suddenly clicked in my brain. Guards, arrest her. Erika's POV. That maid of yours? Kat was surprised. Even though Paula was silent, I could see her shock too. Melissa was wide-eyed with shock and was about to flee the scene when two of my guards caught up with her. Anger boiled and spewed. I walked to where she was being held. The back of my hand went across her cheek harshly. How dare you? I landed another one on the other cheek. How dare you, Melissa? I was about to pounce on her, but Kat and Paula held me back. This stupid girl. To think that I had liked her. She had deceived me with her phony innocence. The laugh she would have had behind my back. How stupid I was. How easily I had liked her, and she had taken advantage. What's wrong? Paula asked me. Instead of replying, I faced the guards. Tie her and take her to the meeting room. Make sure she's on her knees and watch her so she doesn't escape. Okay, Alpha. They bowed and took her away. I went into the room, removed my blood-sodden dress, and walked into the bathroom. 30 minutes later, Paula and Kat too were done taking their baths. I walked out of my room with them following behind. They had been trying to ask me questions, but I was too shaken with anger and disbelief to actually say anything. They understood my mood and left me while still ensuring their support and comfort when and if needed. I went into the meeting and saw her. The guards were dutifully by her side while she remained kneeling on the floor with her hands tied to the back. The guards bowed as soon as they saw me. "Alpha, good job, guys," I commended them. "Thank you, Alpha." I took my position on the Alpha's seat. Paula and Kat took the other seat beside me, flanking my both sides. I stared spitefully at her for a while. She was crying. "Alpha, please, I've not done anything wrong. What I hate is lying." "Don't lie to me," I warned her. "I swear I'm not lying. I swear, Alpha." She sobbed, pleading. "Why did you attempt to run if you know you did no wrong?" I asked her. Because you, asked them to arrest me?" She replied between choking sobs. "It's game over for you, Melissa. Who are you working for? Did you have a hand in what happened to my father?" I was trying to curtail my anger. If I was to handle Melissa, I would possibly kill her, and I did not want to do that. She was the only one I knew as of the moment, the only possible link to what had happened. I had almost forgotten what Jace had said when he had called the first time, due to the tension, fear, and nerves. I had not really paid attention. Searching for, rescuing, and saving him had been the priority at the time. But now that I had time to think about and also seeing her at my door had made me remember. "Melissa, who are you?" My tone was low, but I was vibrating within with rage. "Answer me." She jumped and tried to move away, but the guards shoved her forward. She kept mute. "Do you want us to do this the hard way?" I glared coldly at her. She shook her head. "No, please." "Alpha, please, I'm sorry." "What exactly are you sorry for?" My patience was running thin. I would hurt this girl so bad she would hate herself. So she was behind everything we had been going through? She was the mastermind? Always trying to be present everywhere and every time. And all these times I had thought she was been diligent and hardworking. I had even planned on increasing her pay and getting her a gift. I never knew she was getting information, trying to get her way deeply into this mansion so she could carry out her evil plans. I wondered how Jace had found out, but I knew he would not call her name if he was not sure. This girl was the reason my brother was lying on the hospital bed, yet she was refusing to talk. Wait, I think I remember something now. This was from Paula. Jace had made mention of arresting her when the call was on loudspeaker. Exactly, Paula. How I never knew she was the mastermind. No, I swear I'm not the mastermind. I'm just the messenger. I'm sorry. She hiccuped as more tears fell from her eyes. The messenger? I looked at her. She nodded. Yes. What kind of messages do you give them? I leaned forward to ask. She moved backward in fear. One of you should get me the whip from the torture room, and a knife too. The small one. She wailed louder. Please, Alpha, please. Then talk. I gritted my teeth. She looked at both my friends, then at me. She shook her head. So you won't say? She sobbed more and moved backward. One of the guards came with what I requested for. I did not bother to ask again. I stood, too, the whip from the guard, and whipped her 3 times across her back in quick succession. She fell to the ground and rolled herself on the floor, mostly rubbing her back against cold marble. But I was not done. I whipped her legs. She continued to scream. I kept whipping and kicking her until tears fell from my eyes. You bastard! I threw at her, a sob leaving my lips. You caused me and my family this much pain. Paula and Kat immediately rushed to my side and gave me comforting hugs. I reveled in it. I was tired, so tired, from the running breathless in an unknown forest, searching for my brother to the knife and gun wounds he'd sustained. I'm fine, girls. Thank you. I pulled away from the hug gently. Melissa, I promise I will kill you and feed your corpse to the beast of the sky. No, Alpha. She was bleeding in some places. Her words were weak. Please. I had to do it. They said they will kill my family if I don't. Who are they? Erika's POV. Please, D, don't whip me again, Alpha. I'm sorry, but they would kill my family if they knew. She moved back in fear, tears streaming down her eyes. Why you? Of all the people to use, why did they choose you? I had a lot of questions to ask. I was still not satisfied. I wanted answers. This girl might be lying. I would try to take everything she said with a pinch of salt, but I would still use it to properly start my investigation. I don't know. I swear I don't. I just received a letter anonymously one time, and I was told what to do. She said, "What were you told to do?" I went back to seat. I was so tired. I just wanted all of this to end. Paula and Kat squeezed my hands. I smiled at them both. I was grateful to have them. To deliver information. She sniffled. Why did you not come to me with this news? I would have protected your family and even you. I yelled in agony and anger. She kept mute. Answer me, I bellowed. Except she does not have a family, Paula pointed out, observing Melissa's features. Has she ever told you of any family member, Rika? I shook my head. No. She had the guts to lie to my face. What were you doing standing before the door of the room I was in with my mate? Paula asked her. What? Kat and I looked at her. Paula nodded. Yes. Now that I think of it, she was there. Then I had not thought anything about it. But now that this whole issue is arising, I want to know what she was doing there. Oh my goodness. She was not just a snitch, but a liar. Is this true? My rage had increased. It was as though I was having chest burn. I stood with the whip. And you had the guts to lie to me? Okay, fine, she screamed. More tears fell from her eyes. There is not family, I don't have any. But I needed the money. They agreed to pay. I want a better life for myself. Is that bad? I'm an only child and my parents are dead. Why do I have to keep suffering with no good result? See you, Arsh. I did not let her continue. I landed the whip on her again. I didn't care where the cane was landing. I wanted her to feel pain. Kat came to stop me. You will kill her, Rika. We still need her to give us more information. I'm sorry, Alpha. I just wanted a better life. Please, I'm sorry. I did not intend for this to happen. She pleaded, crying profusely. Were you the one who gave information about Jace's leave? Kat fumed. Why, yes. The day I overheard the Alpha and His Highness arguing near the stairs. That was the day I knew he had plans of leaving. I called them to inform them. Later that day, a package was anonymously sent to me. I opened it to see it was a tracker and information on how to use it. You? It was Kat's turn to be mad. Let her finish, Kat, Paula said, trying to calm her down. On the day you both had that fight returning from the meeting, I was also there, but I was unseen. When he went inside to pack his bags, I monitored. I already knew the vehicle he would be using, so following the instructions, I put the tracker under the car where he won't easily see it. As soon as he left, I called them to tell them he had left. I growled. My wolf was trying to get out of control. Kat, who had told me to stop flogging her, took the whip and continued from where I stopped. She screamed and pleaded until her voice became hoarse. She remained lying on the floor, too weak to stand up. Now tell us, who are these people? I wondered how Paula was still able to remain calm in all of this. And no. She was trembling and stuttering. I kicked her back. She howled in pain. I took the knife and sliced her already peeled and bleeding skin on her back. She could not scream much, but she felt the pain. I noticed this from her jerky movements. No. You won't tell us or no, Paula further interrogated. The deal is the day I open my mouth to reveal their identity. I'll die. They will kill me. So you'd rather the alpha kills you? This was from an angry cat. Why, yes. Tita, they are mean. Plus, I don't really know them. I have only met one P person. He was the one W who said I'll die if I talk. Angry and frustrated, I kicked her some more. She just moaned in pain. Drained and confused, I sank back into my chair. Guards, take her to the cell, bound her hands and legs. Also, I need 4 of you guarding the cell. We have to be careful what we know what we're up against. To her, I said, this is not over, not by a long shot. And the next time I bring you out of that cell, I want answers else. I'll kill you for real. And trust me, I have very creative ways to make your death horrible and painful. Even in your grave, you'll still feel the pain of how you died. I spat on her. Also, I want you to check her room. Look for any evidence. I need something. A clue, all right? I instructed the guards. Yes, Alpha. They lifted her and proceeded to drag her outside. Alpha, please. Pardon me. I'm sorry. Her voice was low and defeated. Take this traitor away, I commanded. I and my friends walked back to my room, each to their own bed. What do we do now? I looked at them both. She has made a deal with very bad people, Kat stated. Exactly. At least something good came out of this night. This was from Paula. Kat and I understood what that good thing was. Jace was alive and responding to treatment. Erika's POV. How can there not be anything? I boomed at the guards I'd sent to go search Melissa's room. It's true, Alpha. We were unable to find anything in there. One of the guards spoke, but there seemed to be this fear underneath his words. We can take you to the room if you'd like, Alpha. The second guard told me. This one was trying to avoid looking at me. All right, you can go. Thank you. Kat told the guards. They bowed and left the room. What are we going to do? This was from an annoyed Paula. I don't know, Paula. I'm as confused as you are. I plopped down helplessly on my bed. The guards had gone to search her room and returned with nothing. Said there was nothing in it. Did this mean that she burned whatever letters they gave to her? Or she hid it somewhere other than her room? That had been the hope we had. Or maybe... I had another plan. What if we hire a hacker to try to track this unknown number and use it to get their location? I believe getting their location will make the job easy to us. We'll easily know who's behind this. These people are smart, Paula reasoned. I don't think they will use this number anymore. That was another spirit-dampening possibility, I sighed. But we can try. Let's try then, Paula agreed. How was I so blind to this girl's mission? How did I get here? I would never believe in a million years that Melissa would be responsible for this. All of this? I paved my room. My head was throbbing hard. I was yet to sleep. None of us have been able to sleep. I was worried, angry, frustrated. There must be some way to find the truth. There must be some way to know who was behind this. I was finding it hard to sit still and act like it was all fine. Until the real mastermind behind this was captured, nothing would remain fine. Not for any reason, nothing would. I should have also suspected when I saw her standing at that door. Paula sat on her bed, looking as disappointed as ever in herself. A phone rang. I quickly rushed to it. It was Paula's. She looked at the caller ID and then at us. It's Gage. Pick it then. He might just be checking up on you, Kat said. She picked the call. Hello, babe. Now's not her eyes widened. Erika? Wait. She put the phone on loudspeaker. She already had my attention and that of Kat's. What was happening again? What did you say, Gaga? Tell Erika to tell the guards to let us in. His voice was angry and distraught. They're here? By this time? I already knew Alex would be with him. But why were they here? This was a very wrong time. I had my own issues to deal with. But it was very late. What could be so important that they both could not wait till morning? Or was he ready to agree to my condition? Rika. Both my friends were looking at me, waiting for me to reply. I did not have time to attend to anyone at the moment. I just let them in. Kat decided. There was no need to counter or argue. I could not allow them sleep outside anyway. They would have still found their way inside. Soon, I heard footsteps and an urgent knock on my door. Paula went to open the door for them. "Where's Jace?" Alex asked. He was looking every bit as nervous as he was. "What is it?" I stood from the bed I was seating to go meet him. Why was he asking for my brother? "He's in danger," he stated. "What?" The three of us chorused in shock. But he just came out of danger? Or were they just aware of it? "What are you saying?" "He just came out of danger." I looked into his face. "Take this." He gave me a note and went to plop on my bed. He looked tired. Gage went to meet Paula, but she immediately stood to come read the note with me. Kat, too. "Who gave you this?" I asked. My heart was pounding in fear and nerves. It came anonymously. I read it and called Gage. He suggested we should make the journey this night. I wanted to come the next morning, but he said it might be too late tomorrow. He ran a hand through his tousled hair. Nerves taut. I pulled out the note and opened it. It read, "Stay away from Erika, else I'll make sure you burn with her. But if you choose to ignore this warning, which there's a greater chance you will, the next time you go to her, tell her her brother will not escape me this second time. A little tip? Jace is not her biological brother." What was this person saying? Jace was not my biological brother? I had no idea which made me tremble more. The fact that Jace was in trouble, or that the claim that he was not my biological brother. This is crazy. Kat took the paper out of my hands and squeezed it. Tears brimmed in her eyes. "Wait, don't rumple it, Kat." Paula was trying to get the paper out of her hand. "Why? These people are just trying to scare us," Kat bellowed. I understood her fear and pain despite their last spat. Jace was still her mate. "Where's Jace?" Gage looked at the three of us. I turned in his direction. That was when I saw what he was wearing: bottom pajamas and a rumpled shirt. I shifted my gaze to Alex, who was quiet. He was wearing a pair of trousers and shirt that was rumpled too. I noticed he was intently looking me. "In the hospital," I heard Paula reply him. "What happened to him?" Alex's brows furrowed. They both did not really know Jace that much because of my hidden identity when I was with him. "A long story," I told him. "Is he guarded?" The concern in Gage's voice caused a spike in my blood pressure. I zoomed out of the room. "Hey, you," I called to the guards standing at the entrance of house. There were 4 of them. "Go to the hospital. The VIP section, Jace is there. Do not leave that place until I tell you to. 2 inside, 2 outside. Got it?" "Yes, Alpha." I watched them make a dash for the medical building, the night swallowing their form. Tears welled and streamed. My shoulders sagged. When will all of this be over? Erika's POV. I had no idea how long I stood there crying. It was night, and though there were lights flooding the pack, it was not totally overshadowing the night, so no one could see I was crying, not even the guards stationed everywhere. Even the positions those 4 had left to go protect my brother had been quickly covered by 4 other guards. Ironclaw had the strongest guards ever, and they were much too, which was the reason Alex came to me for help. Pax knew it was hard to defeat us. Almost impossible. I turned to go back into the room when I heard an angry shout. "You stupid child." I turned at the sound of the voice. Who had dared insult me? The form came out of the shadows, and before I could see it coming, he had passed the guards and shoved me back roughly. I growled when I saw the face. "How dare you, Elder Grigshade?" I told you not to ascend that throne. I told you, didn't I? He growled. He looked wild and ready to devour. The guards close by held him back and were trying to get him to his knees. Cindy growled in my head too. I was poised for a fight. The events of the whole night and even before now flooded into my head. I went forward and landed him a blow. Leave him, I instructed my guards. You want to fight? Bring it on, you cocky bastard. This man would be taught a great lesson. I would not hesitate to unleash the strength of an alpha wolf on him. I'd had enough of his overbearing attitude, of all the time to come with this hatred towards my ascension to the throne. It was now. My head was spinning. My temples were throbbing. This late hour, this old fool had come to my home to fight me. I would kill him. I would prove to him that a fight was not won by body size or age. He might be bigger than my petite frame and even older too, but I would deal with him. This was the perfect way to unleash my anger and to end this rubbish with him once and for all. Maybe after this night, he would learn to respect me. He would learn to. I staggered backwards. He threw a punch at me, hitting my cheek, nearly missing my left eye. I rushed forward, lifted myself mid-air, extended one of my legs, kicking hard. I caught him square on the jaw. He groaned in pain and staggered too. My men had to hold him to prevent his back from hitting the ground. Leave him, I commanded, gritting my teeth. My guards left him. He came forward with another jab. I deftly dodged. You crazy old fool, I'll deal with you. I targeted his stomach and got him. I heard running footsteps from behind. I knew immediately it was my friends, Alex and Gage, and they would want to stop me. I would land the final hit before they come close. I pulled my elbow backward and was about to thrust forward when a strong hand held me. I turned. It was Alex. Elder Grigshade rushed forward to land a punch. Alex swiftly moved before me and deftly landed a blow on the man's nose. I heard the crunching sound it made. Alex had broken his nose. He grabbed his shirt even as his blood gushed. How dare you hit her? I blinked my surprise. Why was Alex fighting for me? I was holding out well on my own. Why won't I? Elder Grigshade bellowed. He did not care that his nose was profusely bleeding. There was something wild about him tonight. Now that I took my time to look at him, he was devastated. He looked and sounded like a man in pain. Still, that was not enough reason for him to come in here and look for trouble. He had practically come here with the intention to fight me. But why? Why had he left the comfort of his home to come here and fight me? Do you want to still have a nose, old man? Alex gripped his shirt tighter. I don't care what you think you are, but I'm not leaving here until she pays for what she has done. Her stubbornness to climb the alpha seat is putting us in danger. He screamed. If anything happens to Tessira, I will burn down this pack. This is a promise I am making here, Erika Blackwood. I will forget my relationship with your father and deal with you as I do my enemies, he threatened. I stepped out from behind Alex, my hands fisted by my sides. Did you just threaten me, Elder Grigshade? It is a threat I am ready to fulfill if anything happens to my daughter. He continued to rant. His daughter? What happened to his daughter? Stop with the threat, Alex warned. No, I won't. I told her to let Jace ascend that throne. Something bigger than her is out there. She's a woman. She will not be able to handle it. It has been from one chaos or the other ever since she came back to the pack. Does that not you something, Erika? Doesn't it? He boomed. His eyes were red. If it was as a result of anger or unshed tears, I could not tell. Release him, Alex. I released my fists. I turned to see Kat, Gage, and Paula witnessing the whole scenario speechless. If there was something Elder Grigshade had come to say, it might be important and he had come about it the wrong way. Still, I was ready to listen because beyond the angry man was a frustrated, sad one. "Follow me, everyone." I took them to the meeting room, including Elder Grigshade. I brought tissue and gave it to him. He held it to his nose. He bent his head backwards to stop the bleeding. His nose was crooked, but the bleeding had stopped. Gage helped him get it back into shape. He grunted in pain. "What happened, Elder Grigshade?" "Tessira has been abducted, and a lock of her hair sent to me." Shockingly, he broke down into tears. "I don't know if she's been killed or is still alive." Erika's POV. We sat before Elder Grigshade, patiently waiting for his explanation, since the only thing he had been doing for the past few minutes was sniffing and sobbing. I glanced at the others, who also seemed impatient, as a frown appeared on their faces. Paula was calm as always while sitting close to her mate, Gage. Kat sat alone, just like me and Alex. I wasn't about to cozy up to anyone being the alpha that everyone should be afraid of. Finally, after the whole time of sniffing and all, Elder Grigshade finally stopped crying. A part of me felt touched, even if he had just tried to fight me a few minutes ago. Even though I appeared heartless, I could still understand that his actions were for his daughter. But I also couldn't stand by and watch him insult my position as alpha, talking shit about women ascending or not ascending as alpha. After we were sure that he had calmed down, I began again, "So tell us what happened." He glanced up at me, and our eyes met. He then kept on a poker face as he began his explanation. Tessira had woken up as usual and informed me of a party she needed to attend. At first, I was against it because I suddenly had the strange feeling in me that things wouldn't turn out well. He paused for a few minutes, and we all gave him an expectant look, waiting for the rest of the words. I asked her not to attend the party, but she insisted, saying it was for a friend. I relented after much pressure from her, and I let her go for that party. But on her way back from the party, she gets abducted. His voice broke towards the ending, making me feel for him a little. I watched him wipe his tears again, acting strong. "Now, I can't tell the people behind this, but you shouldn't have ascended this throne in the first place. I had warned you, hoping you would listen to me, but no, you didn't." He brought up the issue of my reign again, and I instantly silenced him. I would accept any other mockery and scolding, but not the fact that I wasn't allowed to sit on my father's throne. Also, that letter from earlier that had the last text that Jace wasn't my brother. It still needed lots of confirmation. If Jace was really not a Blackwood, then it would be pointless talking about the throne. He couldn't ascend the throne even if he wanted to. But Jace was in the hospital, trying to recuperate himself and at least get back to normal. That was also the only way he could tell us what happened to him and where he was taken to. I glanced at the others again, seeing the same look from earlier in their eyes. Then I turned to look into Grigshade's eyes. "Elder Grigshade, a letter came in a while ago before you arrived," I informed, waiting for him to act, but he just raised a brow. "What letter?" he asked in confusion, and I released a small smile that never reached my eyes. "A letter that stated that Jace isn't a Blackwood," I explained, and Elder Grigshade's eyes went wide in shock. "What?" he yelled out, and I nodded. "Yes, they said that Jace is not my brother." "That's impossible." Grigshade shook his head in denial, as if he was Jace and my father. "You talk like you know Jace personally," I let out in a disdainful tone, and he shook his head. "It's not about knowing Jace personally. I'm a friend of the Alpha." "He never told me this news," Grigshade replied, and I blinked. Deep down, I wanted it all to be one hell of a lie, but these same anonymous people and their messages couldn't be false. Why would they just make up such a lie and tell for no reason? "Where is Jace?" Grigshade asked again, and I sighed. "Pack Hospital, he'll be fine," I said. But Grigshade didn't react. After a moment of silence, my mind began to wander around the content of the letter. Just how did they know that Jace wasn't a Blackwood, and how was that even possible? Jace not being a Blackwood was far from impossible. Father would have told me about it. But on a second thought, Father couldn't possibly know that Jace wasn't a Blackwood. I shook my head as if to clear the sudden fog that clouded my mind. Elder Gridshade, we'll find Tessira and bring her back. You don't have to worry about that, I said with a determined look, and I saw a little relief flashed in his eyes. He bowed respectfully for the first time, earning a surprised gasp from Paula and Kat. I was also surprised, but I held it in better than they did. Gridshade's nose was still a bit injured and bloodied, and it made my mind wander back to Alex's actions just now of fighting for me. What did he mean by that? I already made up my mind that I would never forgive Alex easily for all he did to me. It wouldn't change anytime soon either. I watched as reluctance flashed in Gridshade's eyes before he said slowly, "Don't worry. The news about Jace must be all made up. Jace is a Blackwood," he assured me, and I had no other choice but to believe him. I gave a little nod as I watched Gridshade get on his feet, saying he would be leaving for a while and would definitely return. The search for Tessira would commence immediately, I informed him, and he nodded before walking out of the room. I turned to the others. You all heard him. I think these people are just trying to mess with us. Jace is a Blackwood, and Tessira was taken by them, I concluded, and I watched them all nod in approval. But if Tessira was really taken by them, what was it for? Why would they take Tessira? Paula asked, confused, and before I could answer, Kat gave the answer. Because she has feelings for Jace. Erika's POV. Kat's words had meanings to it that could be a very logical reason why Tessira was abducted. Because she was into Jace. Alex and Gage came forward, and after a slight exchange between us, they left the pack house back to theirs. Me, Kat, and Paula walked back to my room for a brief discussion, and we agreed on going over to the hospital to visit Jace. The doctor had called to inform me that he was awake and was accepting visitors at this time. We'll just stay for a few minutes with him, Paula suggested, but Kat shook her head in refusal. You both will leave, but I won't, she said, and we chuckled. We got ready and left for the infirmary that was just a 5 minutes drive away from the pack house. At the entrance of the hospital, we were met with a few elders who probably came for a check, and some other pack members who bowed on seeing me and the girls. We made our way into the hospital and straight towards the VIP ward where Jace was kept. Just then, we saw the doctor walk out of a room and came towards us the minute he sighted us approaching. Alpha, Erika, you're here, he said, and gave a slight bow. Yes, Doc. You said Jace is awake, am I right? I asked, and he gave a nod. Yes, Alpha. I'll lead the way. I nodded as we followed behind him towards Jace's ward. At the entrance, 2 guards were stationed as requested. I released a little sigh of relief, knowing that Jace was in good hands. The doctor then turned to look at me. Alpha, I have to check on a patient and I wouldn't be able to go in with you, he said, and I nodded in understanding. Yes, you may go, I said, and he nodded before walking away. We turned towards the door and I pushed it open. But the next scene that came into view was the last thing I expected to see. Right there, beside Jace's bed, was a masked person trying to meddle with his drip bag. The 2 guards supposed to be stationed and guarding the inside of his room lay on the floor, exposing Jace to danger. Paula and Kat gasped in shock as I launched at the person, who already noticed our presence and fled through the opened window. Catch him and don't let him escape, I commanded as the other guards outside saw what just happened and ran after the culprit through the other side. I and the girls rushed to Jace's side immediately to see if he was all right, and thankfully, the drug about to be injected into his drip bag wasn't injected as it fell on the floor. Panic and fear consumed me as I imagined what would have happened if I had been even a minute late. I watched Jace's face and frowned. If he was awake, why would he let this happen to him? Why would he lay still letting someone about to inject this into his drip bag? Call the doctor, Kat yelled at Paula, as if reading my mind. Paula nodded and dashed out of the room to call the doctor. The doctor arrived in no time, and I barked at him. What sort of a thing is this? You guys couldn't even protect my brother? I yell, and Paula came over to hold on to me. She rubbed my back soothingly, but I was far from calm this time. I was mad because I was so close to losing Jace again. Tears stung my eyes as I watched the doctor check on Jace immediately. He ran around trying to maybe neutralize whatever was causing Jace to lose consciousness. After a while of silence, the doctor turned to look at me with a head bow. Alpha, I'm sorry that this happened, and I promise it would never happen again. Keep the promises to yourself. Only the goddess knew what I would have done to you, and this guards, if anything had happened to Jace. I spat out, and the doctor stilled. Rika, calm down, Paula said to me, still rubbing my back. Doc, why is he unconscious? Kat asked in concern, and the doctor sighed. Apparently, something was sprayed in the air to make each and every one of them sleep off. So Jace is currently asleep. He should wake up in a few minutes from now, he explained, and I breathed. The doctor then slowly walked out of the room, while we sat around Jace, patiently waiting for him to wake up. Sooner than expected, Jace's eyelashes fluttered and he opened his eyes. Kat was the first to notice and almost launched herself into his arms, but stopped at the last minute. Jace! I called out and went closer to take his hand. A small smile spread across his lips as he looked into my eyes. Why are you crying? Jace asked me, raising a questioning brow weakly. He also turned to Kat, whose tears didn't look like it would dry up at any time. And you too? Why are you both crying? He asked again weakly, and I smiled through the tears. Kat rubbed the side of his face lovingly as she teared up. I just sat there while rubbing his hand. He dragged in a breath and made to sit up, but I pushed him down. You're still weak, I said to him. He shook his head, insisting on sitting up. We three helped him seat up and leaned on the headboard of the hospital bed. It's good to see you again, Jace. Paula chuckled, and Jace flashed her a smile. It's good to see you again, too, he replied. Jace, tell us, what happened to you? I began immediately. We really needed to know what happened to him back then. Kat gave me a confused look. Rika, he just woke up. Let him rest first, Kat said, but I shook my head. We need to know what happened. There's no more time to waste at this point, I told her before turning to look at Jace again. Jace, did you know that a while ago, a masked man was here to mess with your drip bag? What? Erika's POV. A masked person? Jace asked, and I gave a nod. But how did they get in here? Through the window, Paula replied, gesturing to the opened window. Jace frowned and turned to look at me. Didn't you appoint guards to guard me? He asked, and I sighed. Of course I did. But according to the doctor, something was injected into the air, and that brought about you falling asleep quickly. The guards, too, I explained, and the frown on Jace's face disappeared slightly. They even had to come after me? He asked through clenched teeth, and my eyes lit up. Tell us, Jace, who are they? I asked him, and his gaze shot to mine. Before he could say a word, I saw Jace suddenly begin to convulse. My blood ran cold as fear captured my entire being. Jace! Kat yelled and held him before he fell over. Paula again ran out of the room to call the doctor. I and Kat rushed over to his side to hold on to him. Jace, stay with me. Jace, stay with me, and don't close your eyes, I yelled as Kat kept fanning him with her right hand. Jace's eyes turned blood red as his body shook uncontrollably. The door was bursted open, and the doctor walked in with some nurses. Kat and I stepped aside as they began their checks on him. Kat's tears wouldn't stop falling as she watched them try to stabilize Jace's convulsing figure. I closed my mouth with my hands, trying to hold back the tears and the wail that was threatening to burst out. If anything ever happened to Jace, I would be done for. Jace was my family, especially now that our father was still in coma. What would happen to me if Jace ended up dying? Alpha, ladies, please step out for a while. A nurse walked up to us and said. We nodded and slowly left the room, my gaze never leaving Jace's figure. Jace, better not think of dying and leaving all these for me to handle. We sat in the hallways, waiting for a reply from the doctor. It took a while, but soon the door was pushed open and the doctor walked out. Doc, what's wrong with him? I asked as I went to stand before him. The doctor sighed as he looked into my eyes. Alpha, please stay calm. Jace unfortunately was poisoned by that figure just now, he said. I frowned at his words. The masked person poisoned Jace? But how did that masked person even poison him when we saw him still about to perform the act? Doctor, what are you saying? We stopped that person before he or she could do that, I said to him, and he shook his head as if to say I was wrong. I'm afraid you came after the poison had been injected into his drip bag. He was precisely poisoned with the same demon orchid that was used on Alpha Jerome, the doctor said pitifully and cast his gaze downwards. I staggered as the words registered into my mind. Jace was also poisoned with the same demon orchid just when he was about to tell us the truth of what happened to him? I felt arms around me and I turned to see Paula and Kat holding me still. Alpha, the good news is that the poison was just a little amount of it, and we would perform a surgery to get rid of it soon. Please pick a date. Are you fucking with me? I yelled and the doctor shook his head. I'm sorry, Alpha. Get that poison out of him now, I yelled, and I watched him bow before walking back into the room. A deep growl left my lips as I ran a hand through my hair in anger. Rika, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, Paula. How are we ever going to know what happened? I asked her, as the tears I was trying so hard to hold back came falling from my eyes. By continuing the interrogation on Melissa. That bitch has to know the truth, and I'm tired of her lies, Kat said from the side. And we turned to look at her darkened expression. You think Melissa knows the answer? Paula asked, and Kat nodded. She knows something. I can feel it. When Kat felt something, then it means it would be true. We all left the hospital and back to the pack house. Melissa was brought into the interrogation room, where we all stood waiting for her. The moment she saw us three, she began to whimper in fear as she sat before us. Hello, Melissa, Paula greeted, flashing her a smile and waving a hand. She could actually kill someone while smiling. Melissa shuddered in fear as she saw the smile. Alpha, what do you want? She asked in a small voice. I didn't beat around the bush as a whip was brought forward again. This time there weren't any traces of a smile on my face. Melissa, my brother was poisoned, and if you still have any humanity left in you, tell me who these people are and their motive. I began, and I saw her gulp. Alpha, like I said before, I'm sorry I can't tell you who they are. They'll kill me. Melissa repeated her earlier words, and I felt the anger in me boil over. Melissa, don't test me, I yelled, and without a word I lashed her with the whip. She must have felt numb from the first strike because she only whimpered and breathed through her mouth. Seeing her in such a state actually tugged at my heart. She used to be my favorite out of all the maids in the pack house. But she ruined the closeness and broke my trust. Melissa, please. This time, my voice broke as I suddenly went on my knees. I felt dizzy for some reason, maybe because I had been stressed for so long. Melissa looked up at me and the girls. Then she coughed a bit. Alpha, she called out softly, and I glanced at her. They want to overthrow you. They want to take over what belongs to you. She voiced out painfully before she fainted. Erika's POV. After hearing the words, Melissa said, I think I passed out from exhaustion. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Paula on the phone with Gage. She turned to see that I was already awake, and she smiled at me. I'll call you back, love, she said, and ended the phone. You're awake? She walked up to help me sit up. You gave us a fright, you know, Paula began as she chuckled. I just stared at her like someone who lost their sanity. Erika, down to earth, will you? Paula shook me slightly, and I think it worked because pains assaulted my head and I groaned. I ran a hand through my hair, blinking furiously to clear the headache I felt. Cindy, what is this? I asked my wolf, unable to bear the pains any longer. It's just a slight headache because you've been so stressed lately. Just relax and you'll be fine. She replied. I looked up at Paula and asked, how long have I been out? For like 3 hours, she said, and I gasped. Oh no. I have to go to the hospital. What about Jace's surgery? Relax, Rika. The operation was successful, and he is fine now, but still asleep. You've been stressed for too long, and you need rest. So just rest today, she said, and I sighed in relief. Jace wouldn't die. That's all that matters. I looked around in search of Kat. Where's Katerina? I asked, and Paula relaxed beside me. She went back to the hospital, but she would soon be back, Paula said. I nodded, climbing off the bed to use the bathroom. Afterwards, I walked out of the bathroom to see some meals placed down on my bedside table. Come have something to eat. Gage informed me that Alex and him would be here soon. I raised a brow at her as I settled in to eat something. Alex, why is he coming here again? I asked, a frown on my face. I have no business with him since he refused my offer. Probably about the fight in his pack, Paula said. I shook my head at that. I already gave him options if he needs my help. But he turned it down. I see no reason for him to come here, I said sternly. Paula gave a nod in understanding. Yeah, unless he finally accepts the help, she added, and I shrugged. Good for him then. I ate the meal in silence, and after a while, the door to the room was pushed open. Kat walked in and slumped down the couch. I'm super exhausted, she said as we glanced at her. How is Jace? I asked immediately while she glanced in my direction. Thankfully you're awake. Jace is fine now. I breathed a sigh of relief again, having confirmed it from her. Rika, you're good? Kat asked, and I nodded. Yes, I was only stressed, I said to her and sighed. I know. It's written all over you. You need a man. She began again on the man aspect. I shook my head, shooting her a disgusted look. You do, she yelled again as she and Paula laughed. By the way, Noir is downstairs awaiting you, Kat said, and I raised a brow in surprise. No one told me, I said as I finished up the rest of the food hurriedly, before standing up to my feet to get dressed. When did he arrive? I asked, and Kat shrugged. Maybe an hour or 5 minutes ago, she replied, and I gave a nod. I hurriedly changed up into a better outfit and made my way towards the door as the girls followed behind me. We went downstairs and straight to the huge living room where I knew he would be waiting for me. Indeed, Noir was there waiting for me as I arrived. He looked up at me and flashed me a toothy grin. Alpha Erika, he teased, making me chuckle. Noir, you're such a tease, I remarked and went to sit before him. Hello, Noir. The girls waved at him and he waved back at them. Why are you here? I went straight to the point as I saw a frown settle on his face. Can't I come to see a friend? He asked playfully, and I smiled. Just as I tried to say one more word, the guard came in to inform me of Alex's and Gage's arrival. I glanced at Paula, who nodded at me, and I turned to the guard. Let them in. The guard bowed and left. I turned to Noir to say the words at the tip of my tongue, but I saw a deep line form on his forehead. Alexander Robertson? Noir suddenly asked, and I raised a brow. Yes, what's wrong? I asked him when I saw his gaze darkened. Alexander Robertson is coming here? He barked, standing up to his feet as we heard footsteps coming into the living room. Alex paused in his tracks as his gaze darkened too. I watched between the two men confused. Did they know each other before now? What's wrong? I asked, standing up also and moving to stand beside Noir. Do you both know each other before now? Noir, without breaking eye contact, said, yes, we know each other. I turned to look at Alex in shock. You know him? He stepped forward, closing the distance between us as he nodded. Of course we know each other, he replied. I glanced in Paula and Kat's direction as we watched both men in confusion. And how do you both know each other? I barked also, trying to get them to stop giving themselves the deathly glares they were passing to each other. It seemed to have worked because they both then kept their gazes on me. It's him, the alpha of the Thunderclaw Pack, the one that I came to you for help in fighting his pack, Alex said from behind, and I froze in place. Alex and Noir were enemies? And he came to me for help in dealing with Noir's pack? Oh no. Alex's POV. Seeing Noir Heart in Erika's pack was the last thing I expected to see. Could it be that the same person who I was going against was actually trying to also gain more allies from Erika? So, you both are enemies? I heard Erika ask all of a sudden, and I turned to look at her. I breathed out a sigh and nodded. Unfortunately, yes, Noir answered. And don't go looking at me like some bully. His pack started it first, he added, and Erika raised a brow. How? She asked. I glared at Noir as he turned to look into my eyes. Alpha Alexander's pack member infiltrated my pack and killed one of my men. Tell me, Rika, will you let that slide? I saw a frown on Erika's face as she turned to look into my eyes. Eli purred immediately for having caught her attention. Is that true? She asked me, but Noir butted in. Of course. 1 minute, Alpha Noir. She shut him up, and Noir kept quiet. I ran a hand through my hair as I tried to find the right words to say to this woman before me. Well, a member of my pack did kill a member of his, but it was by accident. And secondly, the part about infiltration wasn't true. My member never infiltrated the Thunderclaw Pack. It all happened at the borders of the pack, I explained calmly, and I saw Noir gritted his teeth. That's a fucking lie. Rika, do you believe this shit? He asked in anger, and Erika turned to look at him. She returned her gaze to me, then sighed. If this was really how it happened, then I see no reason for this rift between you both, she said to us and raised a brow. I saw a look flash in Noir's eyes as he watched Erika. Rika. He started with that name again, and I clenched my fist in anger. What do you suggest we do? I'm willing to listen to you. Remember, that was always what I did during our childhood days. I always listened to you, Noir said, and flashed me a knowing look. He was purposely rubbing it in that he knew Erika more than I knew her. Let's all take a seat in the meeting room, she said instead, and turned around to walk to the meeting room. We all followed behind her, and soon we got to the meeting room. We sat together with her and the others. Once everyone was seated, Erika cleared her throat and began. I see no reasons for this fight, like I said before. The solution to this might sound cruel, but it's definitely the only way out. Everyone watched her expectantly, and for some reason, Elijah wouldn't stop purring at every word she said. She looked so perfect when she was in control. Alpha Alexander, did you hear what I just said? She asked me suddenly, pulling me out of my train for thoughts. I blinked at being caught off guard. Yes, please continue, I said, trying to clear off the awkwardness and seeing the smile that appeared on Gage's face. All right then, the only solution to this issue is Alpha Alex has to bring out the very person responsible for this killing and hand that person over to Alpha Noir for punishment. And by punishment, I mean death. The room fell silent at her words, and I turned to look at her. My eyes widened as her words registered in my mind. Erika talked about killing like it was something normal. Indeed, I had been living with her and never even knew her well. She wasn't one to be trifled with. Erika was indeed an alpha with an alpha blood. I accept this decision. Noir immediately complied. I glared at him for those words. He would agree to this, of course. He seemed heartless. Can I object? I asked her. and she shook her head. If you're going to object, then the rift between you and Alpha Noir would never be lifted, she reasoned. Now, I wasn't actually against the idea, but I just didn't know who was responsible for the killing. How would I fish out someone I didn't even know? Isn't there another way? Gage asked this time, as if reading my mind. Do you have a better suggestion? Beta Gage. The other woman, who I think was called Kat, asked Gage, and Gage shook his head. No, my lady, he replied, and she nodded. Then please don't ask for a better option. I clenched my fist in anger as they all turned to me this time, waiting for my response. I'll do as requested. But can I get a few days to make a decision? I asked her, and she shrugged. It's all up to Alpha Noir. Damn it. How could she give authority to that dog? I give you and your pack 4 days to present the culprit, Noir shamelessly declared, and I had this great urge to snap his neck. But I knew it would add to my already existing problems. If that's all for now, then I'll be heading out now, Erika said, and stood up to her feet. Where are you headed? I'll drive you there, Noir offered, and she paused. A small smile appeared on her face as she opened her mouth to respond. Without thinking, I stood up as well and blurted out, You're heading to the hospital, right? I'm also heading there. Let's go together. She then turned to look at me as surprise flashed in her eyes. She didn't see that coming. Me too. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Noir, I think you should go home, she said to Noir, and my heart calmed in an instant. Since you're heading to the hospital, I'll just come along then, she turned and said to me. I nodded at her and turned to wink at Noir, whose gaze darkened in anger. He said nothing and just stood up with a smile. All right then, call me if you need any help, he said to her. She won't be needing any help, Elijah screamed in my head, and I almost chuckled. Erika, I, and the woman Kat left the pack house and headed to the hospital. Erika's POV. I couldn't tell if it was just me or Alex was really acting strange towards me. He was never this caring or understanding. I tried to shrug off the thoughts in my head, but at the same time trying to think it through. Alexander had never once offered to drive me around or even adhere to my decisions. Maybe because I was alpha now, but I still had this feeling that there was something more to it. We soon arrived at the hospital and we went in. I was surprised to see Alex following us into the hospital, but I didn't question him since he said that he was already heading to the hospital. We ignored him and went to Jace's ward. But Alex still followed us to Jace's ward, so I stopped immediately to face him. Alpha Alex, why are you still following us? I asked him. He smiled and shook his head. I want to see Jace too. That's why I came along, he shamelessly said. I raised a brow at his words. So you lied? Yes, I lied to get close to you, Alex replied with a shrug, and my eyes widened. How shameless. Red hues appeared on my face, I guess, and I turned sharply to walk into the room. Surprisingly, Jace was awake already. Jace! I dashed towards him. Same with Kat as we went to sit by his side. Alex stood there watching us as we went ahead to hug and do everything with Jace. Thank goodness the poison wasn't that much, Kat said through tears. Poison? Jace and Alex asked simultaneously. I nodded in return. Yes, Jace was poisoned with the same position used on my father. But it's been taken away, I explained, and their eyes widened in shock. How did that happen? Alex asked in surprise, and I sighed again. There was an assassin here earlier, and the assassin was responsible, Kat explained thankfully. Alex blinked in shock and asked again, Weren't there any guards appointed to guard him? There were guards here, but they were asleep because of something sprayed in the room, I said calmly. Jace looked up at us and smiled. For now, can I not say what happened earlier? Things aren't in good shape at the moment. Let's leave it for later, he said, and I nodded. If that was what he wanted, then I would comply. I want to leave this place, Let's go back to the pack house, he said again, and I turned to Kat. Go and ask the doctor to discharge him. We're taking him back to the pack house. Kat nodded and left the room to do as she was told. In no time, she returned to inform us that she had gotten Jace discharged. The nurses came over to help Jace out of the hospital and straight to Alex's awaiting car. We placed him in and got in as Alex drove back to the pack house. When we arrived at the pack house, we saw Elder Gridshade in the living room, and I remembered my promise to him instantly. There weren't any traces of smile on his face as he greeted. Greetings, Alpha. I nodded as we walked to take a seat. Seeing Jace, Gridshade's eyes lit up. Welcome back, Jace, he called out excitedly, and for some reason, I felt a squeeze to my heart that he actually respected Jace more than he respected me. I ignored the feeling in my heart and just kept a straight face. Why are you here? I asked him, not beating around the bush or sitting here to watch him suck up to Jace. I was right before. The moment he turned to me, he actually frowned and began to say, I came to know how the search for my daughter is going on. I swear I hated this man's guts, and even though I promised to help him, I still hated the way he acted high and mighty before me. The search hasn't begun, I simply said, and I saw his nostril flare in anger. Why? He yelled and stood up to his feet. Keep your voice down. You're talking to the Alpha here, Jace said through gritted teeth, and immediately Gridshade humbled and sat down. The anger I felt increased even more at the fact that this man would go against me, but not against my brother. I'm sorry for shouting at the Alpha, but I just want to know why the search for my daughter hasn't commenced. I sighed and went ahead to explain. The pack has been busy, so you just have to be patient. Be patient when my daughter's life is in danger out there? He asked in anger and stood up again. I rolled my eyes at him. I wasn't jealous, but since he trusted Jace more than he trusted me, then he should go ahead and ask Jace of his daughter's whereabouts. What search? Jace asked, and I clicked my tongue, realizing that he didn't even know the matter at hand. Tessira was kidnapped, I said to him, and his eyes went wide. What? How? Why? Don't ask me. I don't know either, I said with a shrug. Jace sat up straight and looked at Elder Gridshade. What happened before she got kidnapped? She went for a party and on her way back. She got kidnapped, he said pitifully, but I didn't feel touched like before. Did she call you or say anything before her kidnap? That was Jace talking, most sensible and most calm. No, Jace. She said nothing, he replied, and Jace just huffed. It could be the same people who kidnapped me, he reasoned. I don't know why they would come for your daughter, but I feel Tessira knows something she isn't supposed to know. Every eyes, including mine, turned to Jace as he said those words. Tessira knew something she wasn't supposed to know? What did that mean? And what could she know that she isn't supposed to? Kat asked from the side, and Jace turned to look at her. Maybe a secret? Which secret exactly? I asked this time, and he faced me. That logo. Erika's POV. We need to help in finding Tessira, even if she has done us more harm than good, Jace said again, not even caring that Elder Gridshade was around. He spoke about the man's daughter in that way. And what do we do? Alex asked to my surprise, and I turned to look at him. He wanted to help? That's what I can't really think of right now. I don't know what we should do. Jace shook his head pitifully as he said those words. Elder Gridshade moved closer to Jace and lowered his head pitifully. Please, please, save my daughter, please. Gridshade pleaded as a tear slipped from his eyes. I should have been touched, but I wasn't. We'll save her, of course, but it's going to be a difficult task, Elder. So I suggest you go home while we think of something here, Jace told him. Elder Gridshade just watched Jace's face, and after a while, he stood up to his feet. All right, I'll leave, but give me a guarantee that you will find my daughter in a week's time. Get the hell out of here, If you really want to see your daughter, then go find her yourself. My brother is just recovering. Don't you even think of stressing him the hell out?" I yelled in anger. That man was acting out of proportion, and it was riling me up. He turned to glare at me again, but this time I didn't let him. "One glare from you again, and I swear I would never help you find your damn daughter." "Rika, calm down," Kat said from the side, and I huffed. That man knew exactly how to get on my nerves, and I felt he always did it purposely each time. "Elder Gridshade, please just leave for a while." Jace sent the man away, seeing that I was getting riled up again. Gridshade bowed and walked out of the living room. Once he had left, I sighed and ran a hand through my hair, trying to calm my nerves again. "Erika," I heard Jace's voice and turned to look at him. "Relax," he added, and I nodded, making a gesture with my hand that I was calm. "Come, let's head to your room. You need rest now," I said, and helped him up to take him to his room. Kat also helped as we led Jace to his room to relax. Once Jace was securely in his room, I turned around to walk back to the living room. Alex had also been following me around, and I turned to look at him. Paula and Gage were nowhere to be found, and Alex was here following me around like some leech. "What else do you want, Alpha Alex?" I asked as I walked out to the courtyard to relax. Alex sat on the vacant seat beside me and cleared his throat. "Thank you," he voiced out, and I raised a questioning brow. "For what?" "For helping me sort out the issue with Noir." I laughed at those words from him. "You're mistaken here, Alpha Alex. The issue hasn't been resolved, and it also has nothing to do with me. It's left for you both to fix your packs yourself and not fight about it. This should be a warning to you all. Never bring this type of a petty issue to me ever again. I'm already stressed as it seems, and I wouldn't want to be involved in such unnecessary rifts," I sternly said, trying to sound arrogant, but Alex actually laughed. I gave him a look of disdain as he smiled at me. "What's funny? You're cute and adorable when you're dominant," he said, and I blinked at those words. This guy was really very shameless. I heard Cindy purr, but I pushed her voice down. "Alex and I would never work ever again. I already made a deal with my father, and I can't ruin it by getting together with Alex. I wouldn't even think of getting together with Alex. He was my past now, and we would never get back together after everything that happened between us." "Why?" Cindy asked sadly, and I mentally rolled my head. "He isn't my type anymore. I willingly gave my life to him before, but he threw it away and discarded the opportunity." Cindy sighed and didn't say any more words. I watched Alex nod and spoke up. "I get it, Erika. I'll take my leave now." I nodded as well, then he stood up to leave. "Have a nice day." "You too." Once he left, I huffed and relaxed in my seat, exhaustion seeping into my bones as I relaxed and tried to breathe. The struggles from the past few days had rendered me immobile, now coupled with the fact that I had to find those people who are after Jace. I also had to find Tassira. "Just take it slow, one at a time," Cindy encouraged me. Of course I would take it slow. I can't have myself killed for the sake of being Alpha. Father never even stressed himself out to this point, and here I am. I stood up to my feet and made my way into the house as I saw Paula walking towards the courtyard. "Hey," she waved at me. "I was coming to find you." She laughed as we both settled in the living room. "I'm so stressed out," I whined as she smiled and reached out to pull me closer. "I don't know if this is appropriate for an alpha, but let me massage your scalp," Paula said as she ran a hand through my hair. I didn't want to be this vulnerable, but I guess I needed her touch at this moment. "All will be well, and we all will be fine. All right?" she asked, and I hummed in response. Just as we stayed quiet, trying to enjoy the peacefulness enveloping us, a guard walked in and bowed. "Greetings, Alpha. There's a package for you." I raised a brow as I pulled away from Paula's arms. "What package?" He extended the envelope in his hand to me, and I snatched it. For some reason, fear began to build up in me just thinking about the content of the envelope. "You may leave." Paula dismissed him, and he bowed before turning to leave. Now left alone, I turned to Paula, and she nodded at me. "Open it." I took in deep breaths before opening the envelope and fishing out the letter in it. Cat's POV. "Would you like some more?" I asked Jace, scooping more of the food into his plate. He shook his head. "This is fine. I don't want much," he replied, and I nodded. I accompanied him in his room to take care of him and make sure he was fine. These past few days have been the worst times for us. My motive of making him finally fall for me and marking me went crashing down because of the current issues at hand. I couldn't also deny the fact that I felt real fear the moment I had seen him running out of the South River forest with Erika. For a moment there, I thought I might lose him. "What are you thinking about?" Jace's voice pulled me out of my train of thoughts, and I flashed a smile in his direction. "Nothing you should worry about," I replied, not about to tell him the truth of being hurt by his absence. His gaze narrowed as he watched my face that masked my pains. "You're not okay," he pointed out, a frown making its way to his handsome face. I smiled, also biting the inside of my cheek to hold back the sob about to burst out. Jace was sitting on the bed and leaning on the headboard. Then I was sitting before him. Before I could realize what was going on, Jace reached out to pull me into his arms. For the first time ever, he initiated it without me being the total piss-off. As if on cue, my dam broke and the tears burst out like a river. I cried so much, staining his shirt in the process. Jace stayed quiet and rubbed my back soothingly. He knew just how much I was hurting. I was normally never a crybaby, but the events that transpired recently made me turn into one. The playfulness and charm I always carried was nowhere to be found. "Sure, it's all going to be fine," he said into my hair. When will it ever be fine?" I asked, my voice breaking at the end of the question. Everyone kept saying that everything would be fine, but nothing ever seems to be fine. Everything was turned upside down. Each time we found peace, it wouldn't last for a day and another problem would arise. This was not the peace I imagined for me and my mate, including my friends. Erika left her husband to come back and take over Ironclaw, but ever since her reign began, she has never known peace. Everyone around had never known peace. Alpha Jerome was still kept somewhere suffering from poison. Jace escaped death multiple times. I was almost killed too. No one was spared. "Stop thinking, Cat," Jace ordered, pulling away to stare at my face that had tears running down in it. "It's really going to be all right," he added reassuringly and sniffed. "I almost lost you," I croaked out, my voice hoarse and demanding. "But you didn't," he replied. I expected him to ignore that question, as he found it sensitive each time I spoke about us. "What if they come at it again?" I asked again. Overthinking was never far from me. Jace shook his head and held my face. "They won't come again." "But what if the—" "I'll make sure of that," he said softly, and I instantly melted into his arms, embracing him tightly as if he would disappear if I let go of him. Well, maybe he really might disappear. After a while of staying in silence, he pulled away and stared at me. "Let's eat together before we discuss how to go about Tassira's case." At the mention of that bitch's name, I felt my insides churn in anger as the pain in my heart turned to anger. That very girl who tried to steal Jace away from me. I know this isn't right, but I felt kind of happy that she was abducted. "I'm not hungry." I shook my head, trying so hard to hide the anger in my eyes as I watched him slowly duh into the food. He needed lots of meat and nutrients to heal up his wounds quickly. I stood up to my feet, a smile on my face as I informed. "I'll be downstairs." "What are you going downstairs to do?" he asked me with a raised brow, and I sighed. To see the girls, I have something to discuss with them. Jace watched me for a while and shrugged. All right. I nodded before making my way out of the room and straight downstairs. Elder Gridshade asked for help in finding Tessira. But if she is found, she would make advances towards Jace again. A part of me was wishing she would be found, but the other part wished that she never came back. I saw the girls sitting downstairs in the living room, and I approached them. Paula was pacing back and forth while Erika was frozen at the other side. I scrunched my face in confusion and approached Paula, who at least looked approachable. "Pauls, what's wrong?" I asked, taking in the sight of the living room. The living room was actually still intact, and there was nothing there to see. Paula reached out a hand to give me the letter in her hand, and the moment I took the letter and read its content, I froze on track. "What?" Erika's POV. "What's the meaning of this?" Kat asked, as her hands holding the letter trembled. "Tessira is about to be killed. That's the meaning." Paula gave an answer, and I dragged in a breath. Kat covered her lips with a hand in shock. "Who sent this?" she asked, and this time I gave her an answer. The guards brought it in and said that someone delivered it to me. "Who is that guard?" "Call him here, Rika." I gave her a narrowed look, and she nodded. I took in deep breaths before calling out to the guard. Guards. A different guard came running in to I and Paula's surprise. "Where is the previous guard?" I asked, taking a seat beside Paula, who looked tired already. The guard watched me in confusion. "Your Highness, I was the only one at the entrance all these while," he replied, and I frowned. There was another guard just now who came to deliver this letter to me, saying that someone just gave it to him at the entrance. I explained as we all watched him expectantly. The guard scratched his head and frowned deeply, lines appearing on his forehead. "Alpha, I can swear that no one was at the entrance except me. I had been standing there for a very long time, and I saw no one walk up with a letter," he replied. I turned my gaze to look at the girls, communicating with my eyes, asking them if the guard was lying or telling the truth. Kat bit her lower lip in confusion before opening her mouth to ask the guard, "How long were you on duty?" "My lady, I've been standing at the entrance since yesterday morning." My head pounded at the results I was gathering up. It couldn't be. It just has to be a lie. Those people couldn't have infiltrated my pack without me noticing, can they? I took in deep breaths again and looked up at the guard. "Are you sure you were the only one on duty?" He gave a nod and bowed. "You may leave." It was Paula this time, and the guard walked out of the room. "Fuck," I curse, running a hand through my hair in frustration. How did they get in here without our notice? These people are so dangerous. I yelled and slumped on the couch again. Paula stood up to face us this time as a frown settled on her face. "They infiltrated this pack." "But why? Only to deliver that letter?" she asked us, giving us a knowing look that spoke volumes. Paula had a point. Those people wouldn't have gotten in here to deliver the letter, except— "Melissa!" The three of us shouted simultaneously and immediately sprinted to the direction of the dungeon where Melissa was kept. We saw the guards on duty laying on the floor as if dead. My heart dropped to my stomach as fear built in the pit of my stomach. Melissa better be fine. She had a key to finding these people. We hurriedly pushed open the door and ran into the dungeon. Just as we expected, Melissa was no more there. "No!" I yelled out, even before I could hold it back. Anger, pain, fear, betrayal, all these feelings rose up in me and clawed at my heart. Why did things have to go the right way one minute and the wrong way the other minute? This wasn't fair. The guards and everyone ran out in an instant, and seeing the anger flash in my eyes, they all backed away slowly. I rushed over to the sleeping guards on the floor and kicked them without mercy. The Ironclaw Pack should have the strongest guards in this entire Fangoria, but these fools had acted like they lacked skills. I was so mad that I could punch a wall at this point. I kept venting all my anger on the guards, and they went scrambling up from the cold floor. "What the fuck happened?" I yelled the moment they all stood before me. "Rika, calm down," Paula began to say, but my head snapped in her direction and my gaze darkened. "Don't even tell me to calm down," I yelled, not minding if I sounded rude or hurting her. I was pissed, and no one was allowed to speak to me when I was in such a condition. I turned my heads to face the guards again. "You fools. How in the world did Melissa go missing?" I asked them, taking a step closer and extending a hand to receive the whip handed to me. I was being ruthless, and it wasn't my way of lifestyle. But the fools before me were supposed to guard Melissa, and they foolishly lost her to the enemy. Melissa had made me promise to protect her if she gave me little details on the planning from the other people, but after my promise, I couldn't even keep to it. They've taken her away and would most definitely make her suffer a lot. They might even kill her. Damn. "Alpha, forgive us," was all they said, riling me up even further with those words. They knew exactly what happened, and the only explanation they had was an apology? What exactly would their apology change? The fact that Melissa was taken away? Or the fact that they provoked me? "You morons," I yelled, and without warning lashed one of them with the whip, not minding if I hurt him or her. I was just trying to make myself calm down again. Unlike Melissa, the guards whimpered instead and didn't scream. The scream was the satisfaction I needed, but they refused to scream. I kept lashing them with the whip, waiting for them to scream, but nothing came. Just as I lifted the whip one more time to land on one of the guards, I felt arms come around me as I froze. The strong arm held the whip as well. I looked up at the owner of the strong grip and saw Jace's pleading face staring back at me. "Please stop, Rika." Cat's POV. Thankfully, Jace came early to hold Erika back from killing those guards. The angry Erika was not one to be trifled with when annoyed. We watched as Jace led her slowly out of the dungeon and into the living room. Since Jace's health wasn't yet back to being stable, he kept limping as he helped Erika take a seat, pulling her into his arms for a hug. "You should go back to the room and rest. You're still not all right," I heard her say to him, and he nodded. "I'll go back once I'm sure that you're fine," he replied. How sweet of him. After a while of staying silent without a word from anyone, Jace pulled away and asked, "What exactly happened?" I turned to Erika, waiting for her to tell him the truth of the letter and photos attached. But Erika did nothing of such. "It's Melissa. She escaped," Erika simply said without talking about the distraction. "What? Melissa escaped?" Jace asked in shock, and Erika nodded. "But how is that even possible? How did she escape?" Jace questioned again, and Erika sighed. "It's a long story, but don't worry, I'll sort it out. Cat, help Jace back to his room. The doctor said he needs lots of rest," Erika said, and turned to look at me. I raised a brow slightly. Why was she not telling Jace the truth? I nodded and walked up to Jace. He didn't object and just followed me as I took him back to the room upstairs. Once we were in his room, Jace suddenly clicked the door shut, and his earlier pained expression vanished to a more serious one. "Cat, tell me the truth. What happened, and how did Melissa escape?" My heart hammered in my ribcage as I fell into a huge dilemma. I didn't actually know why Erika skipped the part of telling Jace about the photos and letter, or how Melissa escaped, but I couldn't also lie to my mate. I gulped as Jace cornered me all of a sudden, pinning me to the wall. I was surprised how he still had the energy to do this after that bullet and knife wound he got from last time. He was supposed to be weak, but he still was stronger than I was. "Tell me, Katrina." He used my full name, his gaze holding mine and not giving me a moment to think. "Jace," I called out softly, extending a hand to touch his face. "Promise me that you won't do anything until you're well." I don't know why Rika purposely skipped this part, but I guess it's for your health's sake. So please promise you won't do anything to endanger your health again. Jace watched me with his piercing dark eyes as he took in my words. He stayed quiet for a while, not saying a thing or giving a nod as usual. Kat, tell me, he said again, still having his Ooker face on. After you promise me. I just couldn't identify the source of my bravery. I was supposed to be scared out of my wits with the look in his eyes, but I wasn't a bit scared of him. After another round of silence, he finally relented. Fine, I promise not to act rashly. I sighed, shutting my eyes briefly and opening them to meet his. A letter was sent in by an unknown guard. I began, watching the frown that appeared on his face. What letter? He asked. The letter contained a message from the people who abducted Tessira. It also has pictures of Tessira being tied to a chair and threatened to be killed. I explained, and he moved away from me. Can I see that letter? He suddenly asked seriously, and I shook my head. Rika has it, unfortunately. I can't get it from her. I replied, and he shook his head. I really need to see those photos, Kat. Can you get them for me? Please, he pleaded, melting my heart in an instant. It was something new that Jace pleaded with me for help. Of course, I wouldn't refuse him. All right, I'll try to get it from her, but please relax, I said, placing a hand on his shoulder. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Sit, I said, leading him to sit on the bed. He sat down and looked up at me. Why do you need to see the photos? I asked, where I was held hostage. He breathed out, and I frowned. What do you mean? I mean, when I was kidnapped, I was kept in what seemed to be a base. I just want to see that photo to confirm my suspicions. Can you go get it now? He asked, and I blinked. This was equivalent to helping Tessira, but I nodded. All right, I'll be back, I said and turned around to leave the room. Once I shut the door behind me, I sighed and made my way downstairs. Erika and Paula sat in the living room, probably discussing on how to find Melissa again. I walked up to them, and they both turned to look at me. How's he? Erika asked, and I nodded. Good. She sighed and relaxed into the sofa. But I have one question if you don't mind, I said, and sat opposite from them. If it's about the reason behind hiding the letter and photos part, then I have a valid reason, she said before I could continue, and I watched her expectantly, tilting my head to the side. She gave me a side eye and went ahead to explain. If Jace finds out about that letter and photos, he would go to find Tessira and help Gridshade. I'm not against it, don't get me wrong. But Jace isn't strong at the moment, and I wouldn't want him to stress himself out, she explained, and I understood her point. I also didn't want Jace to be stressed out, and I would do everything to keep him safe. But this was the very first time that he asked me for help, and I just couldn't bring it in me to refuse. Instead, I would try to make him not do anything rash until he was totally healed up and back on his feet, without the pains that assaulted him each time. I turned at Erika. Rika, have me those photos again. Erika's POV. I knocked on Jace's room door and heard his voice from the inside before pushing the door open to walk in. He was lying on the bed, looking exhausted as if he had run a marathon. I raised a questioning brow at him. Why are you sweating so much? What did you do, Jace? I know I sound like a mother, but Jace was my top priority now. I just can't let any harm befall him. He flashed me a smile with difficulty before he replied, I had a bath, and damn, I got exhausted. I blinked. How could he get exhausted after having a bath? Are you all right? I asked again, taking a step closer to him and making sure he was really all right. Jace nodded his head, but I knew it was a lie. Jace, tell me the truth. I sat by his side, running a hand by the side of his face. He breathed in and out. His breaths were ragged. The truth is, I fell over in the bathtub and hurt my sides. It's bleeding again. At those words, my eyes widened and I cursed loudly. Why didn't you ask for help? I yelled as I sprinted to the other side of his room to get the first aid kit. I knew Jace never liked to bother anyone with his health. But he had to understand that we're family and we take care of each other. I returned to the bedside where he lay and ordered, "Please lie on your side. I need to help you out with this." He obliged and lay on his side. I gasped the moment I saw the side of his shirt soaked with blood. "Oh no." I began to slowly lift the shirt as he winced. "You're exaggerating the stain." He chuckled, but I slapped his waist and earned a groan from him. "Sorry." I stared at the gaping wound on the side of his stomach and felt my insides churn. "How did the doctor even accept your discharge with such an injury on you?" I yelled as I swallowed the lump in my throat and began to dress the injury. "It doesn't hurt much." Jace sighed and I gave him a side eye. "Shit, that's huge." Cindy yelled in my head as I continued to wipe the blood. Why couldn't his wolf just heal him already? "Why aren't you healing?" I asked him, unable to bear it any longer. He smiled and shrugged. "I was stabbed with a silver blade and the bullets too were silver," he replied, and I sighed. They really wanted him dead. After I'd finished cleaning off the blood, I set everything aside and rang the bell I had installed in his room for any services he needed. A maid came running in. "Clear this." I gestured to the items I had used for the sanitary, and she nodded before taking them off. Each time I saw a maid, I would unfortunately be reminded of Melissa. A sigh left my lips as I went into Jace's bathroom to wash off my hands and return. "Help me with another dress shirt." I walked up to his wardrobe to fetch a new, clean dress shirt for him. "Give him some privacy," Cindy said to me as I kept staring at Jace while he put on the shirt. A snort was my reply. "All done," he announced, and I sat back down. "All right, let's get to the reason I came here," I said, and he got serious. "Do you have any information you need to tell me about your abduction? Like who those people are and what they wanted?" I asked immediately, watching Jace's face for a satisfying response. Surely he should have found out about these people and maybe even their leader. Jace was smarter than I was, and he must have seen something. After a while of silence from him, he shook his head. "Unfortunately, I don't know who they are or what they wanted," he replied, making my face fall in disappointment. He didn't know them still? Were they that difficult to find out? The little hope I had was crushed in an instant as I watched his face. I sighed heavily. I guess these people wouldn't be as easy as I thought. "It's fine. Just take a rest," I said, and he nodded. I stood up to leave, but before I could get to the door, Jace called out to me. "Rika, wait," she called, and I stopped, immediately turning expectantly. I remember the identity of who I think was the leader. Hope shone in my eyes as I dashed back to sit beside his bed. He smiled at me, seeing my curiosity. "You look so worked up, Rika," he said, extending a hand to pat my hair. I rolled my eyes and urged him to tell me the truth. "Just tell me already." He chuckled and sighed. When I was beaten by the men, my heart squeezed at those words. They had beaten him. That explains why he was bloodied when we found him. Before I lost consciousness, I fell to the floor and heard one of the men say something about the boss being a she, he said, and ran hand through his hair. "A she?" I asked in surprise, a frown making its way to my face. "A woman was responsible for all these? Are you sure about that?" I asked to confirm, and he nodded. "But how sure are you that you weren't hearing things then?" I asked, and he shook his head. "I wasn't hearing things, and moreover, she spoke to me when I was half conscious. But it was through a phone, and her voice didn't sound real. I guess her voice was auto-tuned. All this information felt so overwhelming." I extended a hand to ask him to pause for a while. "A woman is behind all these?" I yelled out, feeling my entire body go still at the fact that one woman was trying to control the destiny of everyone in Fangoria. "Yes, a woman is the masterminder," he repeated with a sigh as well. I blinked again and again. But who is this woman? Jace's POV. I watched Erika exit the room, her departure leaving me deep in thought. I knew that the revelation of the mastermind being a woman still lingered in her mind, stirring a mix of surprise and intrigue. With a heavy sigh, I settled back on the bed, my body craving rest, as I awaited Kat's return with the photos. Closing my eyes, I hoped to find solace in a moment of peace. Instead, memories of past torment and suffering flooded my mind, unwelcome and vivid. The weight of the past pressed down on me, stealing the sleep I longed for. Another sigh escaped me as I opened my eyes, the turmoil within refusing to grant me respite. Just then, a knock came at the door. "Come in." The door was pushed open, and Kat walked in finally with the pictures. As she gazed at me with a mix of worry and curiosity, she asked, "How are you holding up, Jace?" I sighed at the questions everyone keep asking me since today, then mustered a small smile and replied, "I'm hanging in there. Thanks for asking." She returned the smile. Reaching out for the photos, I could sense her hesitation before she handed them to me. The images felt cool to the touch. With a deep breath, I started examining them, hoping to find the missing link that would bring clarity to Tessira's abduction. Kat sighed heavily and muttered, "You have no idea how stubborn Erika can be." It was like pulling teeth to get her to hand over these photos. She continued to sigh intermittently as she watched me examine the images, her impatience evident in her body language. I couldn't help but chuckle at her dramatics and teasingly said, "Well done, love. Your persuasive skills are truly impressive." Her pout turned into a proud smile as she watched me go through the photos. My attention went back to the photos. I was carefully sifting through the photos in my hands, my gaze lingering on each image. When I reached the one of Tessira blindfolded, my attention was drawn to a symbol in the background. The symbol sparked a memory, reminding me of the place where I had been held captive during my own traumatic incident. Calling Kat over, I gestured towards the symbol in the photo. "Kat, take a look at this." "That symbol. It's from where I was taken," I shared, my voice tinged with recognition. As Kat approached, I explained the significance of the symbol. "Kat, I'm sure of it. The same people who took me. They're the ones who took Tessira too," I muttered, running a hand through my hair in recognition. Fuck, Tessira was in big trouble. "Are you sure?" Kat asked, as she took another glance at the pictures again, biting her lip as she watched the symbol again. The symbols, the whole setup. It's too similar to be a coincidence. We need to act fast and figure this out before it's too late. "We? You're going to risk yourself to save Tessira?" she asked with a deep frown, and I sighed. I never thought about this part. The part where they would never let me save Tessira. "Look, Kat. No, I won't look at anything. Before I brought these photos to you, I thought about it, and something told me you would most definitely try to be the hero again. I won't let that happen until you're perfectly fine." I knew she was just as stubborn as Erika, but we really needed to help Tessira. I know how dangerous those people are, and what they might do to talk more to Tessira, who is a spoiled brat. I sighed, my eyes blazing with determination, as I tried again to convince Kat that I was fine and ready to take action. "Kat, I'm fine. We need to save Tessira now," I insisted, my voice firm and resolute. However, Kat still didn't shudder. She shook her head, refusing me instantly. "Jace, you're not fully recovered yet. We can't rush into this. You need time to heal." Despite her words, I still persisted. She wasn't the only hard person here. My urgency was even more palpable. "We really can't wait. Tessira's in danger," I urged. "You can't risk your own life just to save someone else," she growled, my wolf finding it adorable. "Please, Kat, please." She stared at me for a split second and shook her head. You need to recover first. Anger began to build in me as I heard her words. Why were all the women in my life this stubborn? Katrina, look at me, I ordered, and she turned to look into my eyes. If you love me as you claim, then you would say yes. I didn't care if I was being too demanding. I wasn't into Tessira. I was only doing this for her Gridshade's sake. Finally, after much hesitation, Kat relented. Fine, Jace. In 1 week, we'll plan an escape for Tessira. But you have to promise me you'll take care of yourself first. I sighed thankfully and nodded immediately. Yes, I'll take care of myself. She smiled thinly and nodded. I'll make sure of that. Promise also. Women. That you'll let me be part of this mission. I blinked at that. You want to join? I asked, and she gave a nod. I smiled thinly at her words. Kat was really wonderful. All right, you'll be part of it. But when I say it's enough, then it's enough. Got it? I asked, and she smiled, giving a nod as well. I sighed and leaned back into bed, still staring at that particular symbol at Tessira's back. It was indeed the same place that I was taken to back then. Tessira was in a big mess with those hoodlums. I'll go return the photos now. Then I'll stay with Rika and Paula for a while, she said suddenly and stood up. I handed the photos back to her and nodded. She turned around to leave, but before she could walk out of the room, I stopped her. Kat, she turned. No matter what, don't tell Erika about all this planning, all right? All right. With that, she left the room.